October 21st, 1600, 150,000 men stood completely blind in the freezing fog of a narrow valley, waiting to strike. Japan had been bleeding for a century. During the Sengoku period, the country lacked an emperor or shogun with any real power. Warlords carved the land apart with steel, leaving a trail of burned villages in their wake. Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the man who had nearly unified the islands, was dead. He left behind a young son and a circle of regents sworn to protect the boy, but many only saw a vacuum waiting to be filled. Within 2 years, one of those regents moved to take everything. Tokugawa Ieyasu was a patient, cold strategist, the kind of man who wins by outweighting his enemies. The question for history is whether Ieyasu won Japan through superior courage on the field or through a series of calculated betrayals that made the fighting itself almost irrelevant. This is the Sekigahara Valley. Ieyasu marched his eastern army straight into this geographical bowl. The loyalist Western army held the high ground on 3 sides. They had better position, better numbers, and clear line of sight on Ieyasu's trapped men below. Under any standard military doctrine, Ieyasu had already lost the war. He was effectively standing in a kill zone, surrounded by enemies waiting for the signal to close the trap. When the fog lifted at 8 in the morning, the killing started. Matchlock fire cracked across the valley, and for 2 brutal hours, the Western army held the line. They were winning exactly as the terrain predicted. Even with his front line bucking in the mud, Ieyasu remained calm. He was waiting for a turn that no one on the battlefield could see coming. The fate of Japan actually sat high on Mount Matsuo, where 16,000 troops remained motionless under a young lord named Kobayakawa Hideaki. Officially part of the Western Army, his orders were to crash down the mountain and shatter Ieyasu's flank, ending the threat forever. However, Ieyasu had spent months before this battle planting seeds of doubt. He had sent secret letters and promises of land to Hideaki, essentially buying the young lord's loyalty before the first spear was ever sharpened. This created a bizarre stalemate. As thousands died in the mud below, Hideaki sat frozen on the mountain, unable to choose between the honor of his oath and the greed of Ieyasu's bribe. The battle reached a fever pitch, but Hideaki still wouldn't move. The future of the entire nation hung on the hesitation of a single teenager who couldn't make up his mind. Ieyasu finally lost patience. He ordered his own gunners to turn their weapons away from the enemy and fired directly at Hideaki's position on the mountain. It was a violent psychological message: choose a side now, or I will treat you as the first enemy I destroy. Hideaki finally broke. He ordered his 16,000 men to charge down the slope, not into Ieyasu, but directly into the unsuspecting flank of his own allies. The Western army collapsed as their own side turned on them. This sudden betrayal proves that a warlord's greatest danger often comes from the man they trusted to guard their flank. By that afternoon, tens of thousands were dead, and the Western cause was finished. The loyalist leaders were captured and executed, leaving Ieyasu as the undisputed master of Japan. 3 years later, Ieyasu took the title of shogun. His family would maintain that power for the next 250 years, ushering in an era of peace that only ended when the age of the samurai itself passed away. Ieyasu's success stemmed from a dark understanding of human nature. He knew that battles are rarely decided by the brave men in the front, but by the uncertain men on the edges. This reflects the Stoic concept of Premeditatio, the practice of seeing every possible outcome and obstacle long before the chaos arrives. Ieyasu spent years writing the letters and making the promises that made this specific morning of blood possible. It is a lesson that applies to any high-stakes arena today. True victory is rarely won during the heat of the moment. It is secured in the quiet months of preparation that precede the crisis. Ieyasu arrived at Sekigahara having already managed the risks and neutralized his opposition from within. He turned a desperate gamble into a calculated formality. The loudest battles are won in the quiet, long before the first shot is ever fired. Subscribe for more deep dives into the strategies that shaped history. Move first and move smart.